is here on Wednesday. Just always a fun frolic of a conversation. Co-host of Good Morning Football, his podcast, a very popular podcast on Spotify, and The Ringer is 10 Questions with Kyle Brandt, joining us back here on the Rich Eisen Show. How are you, Kyle Brandt?
I'm great, Rich, and then I had to come in and follow the voice of Trace Adkins,
Yes.
and now I sound like Pee Wee Herman compared to him. That's no easy task.
Well, no, everybody sounds like Pee Wee Herman, sir. After
I know.
With his the dulcet
We had
tones.
Trace Rich. He came in when we did the Good Morning Football in Nashville, when we were doing our show from Tootsie's. He came in
Yes.
and performed, and we had a guest host and Michigan man that day, Taylor Lewan, and he had a lot of takes on Trace Adkins, including his favorite song of Trace Adkins, which is called Honky Tonk Badonkadonk. And Burleson and I broke up dying laughing. Great guy, the voice from God, and maybe from the devil. Amazing dude.
No doubt about it. Kyle Brandt here on the Rich Eisen Show. Let's see, where do we start? Did anyone hold a press conference today retaining their general manager and head coach?
Great question. I think so.
What city did that conversation?
Chicago.
Kyle Brandt, your thoughts? Everything going on?
Specifically, Lake Forest, Illinois, where my childhood bed is about 1.25 miles from Hallis Hall in that town. And, man, I had Walter Payton sheets on that childhood bed.
Okay.
And I've had a lot of great days as a Bears enthusiast, as I call myself. Today was a really kind of mystifying one. I will say this. This process that they're going through is very slow and very annoying, which is ironic because there's two guys named Pace and Nagy. It's right on the nose. And I would just say, Rich, I love being positive about the league, about the teams coming on your show, and I find it really difficult with this team, them saying, we got it. The message today from the Bears was basically like, trust us, we got it. We have a plan, we're going to figure this out. And I watched the Packers game. Never mind the Saints game for a second. I watched the Packers game. They're not playing the same sport as their alleged biggest rival. It's just not there. And so that's fine. You get down and you get play. Aaron Rodgers is great. So what are the sweeping changes? I know it's very difficult to make, but and I just get on my soapbox here. To really change an organization, to change the culture, change the product, you got to slit some throats. And you got to fire some good men, and you got to do some things you don't want to do. And we've seen it a million times where good football men lose their jobs and move on, and it was the best thing ever. I don't think the Los Angeles Rams wanted to fire Jeff Fisher. He's a great man, good guy. Everybody believes in him. Look at what they've done since then. And I don't want Matt Nagy's head on a stake. I love Nagy. I love Pace. Having met both these guys, they're great dudes. But I think if Chicago's sick of hearing that, and I can't conscionably come on your show and be like, I loved it. I'm glad they're back. It's a problem. And I don't even know who the quarterback is. And we didn't even get into the quarterback yet.
Well, you got the quarterback. Now you got a defensive coordinator. That'll be an important hire because, and there shouldn't be any shortage of candidates except for the fact that candidates have already been hired. You know what I mean? So that's the problem here is that if, you want to make a change, and the only coach, I guess, they could have jumped on who hasn't been already interviewed twice or once or is going to be otherwise retained for a while and is already on other radar screens and is maybe already interviewed would be Doug Peterson, who it seems will be available in 2021 if you make that move. That, and I feel the same way about Sam Darnold as well, just to, I guess, continue the script of talking about our teams that we wear our hearts on our sleeves in our professional capacities as well. Is good guy, great kid, and face the franchise. But it's just what's more like. If we had to put a poll question up that Darnold is going to take the Jets where they want to go anyway, and Nagy's going to take the Bears where they want to go anyway, or none of the above, I think none of the above would win 100% in that poll question. You know what I'm saying?
I do too.
And it's not like that these people don't know how to do it. It's just, times run a course, unfortunately.
And I think if you're a Bears fan, you watch and you say, all right, it's one thing that we're not winning. We were 8-8 before we went into the playoffs. We're 8-9. We hired Matt Nagy for his offensive acumen, and we pretty much scored 3 points in a playoff game. 3, until the last walk-off touchdown to Jimmy Graham and he ran out the tunnel.
Right.
We're not losing 41-38, Rich. They don't have any offense, and he didn't draft Trubisky. Trubisky was a stepchild for him. That's fine. So we picked Foles. Foles didn't work out. It's like they've had everything. And listen, it wasn't that long ago when, man, the Bears were good. And I'm talking about pre-Mark Trestman, Lovie Smith Bears, ran the hell out of the ball, great offensive line, great pass rush, and they had something. They could do it, and they could beat Favre sometimes. Now it's like, it's tough to say we got it, and that was the message today because they haven't earned that. And I hate saying that about the Bears. I wish they did have it, but I haven't seen that they do.
Kyle Brandt here on the Rich Eisen Show. Okay, let's be more positive then.
Let's please, for the love of God, yes, I'd love to.
So I saw last week, and you've been doing this quite a bit on Good Morning Football, but this one resonates with me because one of my favorite movies of all time is Network. I think anybody who works in this industry, on television, radio, what have you, in the communications industry, it's required viewing that movie from the 1970s, the mid-70s, and the character that Peter Finch played and won an Oscar for posthumously, as I might add, the newsman Howard Beale, who went crazy on the air, and the rest of the country actually kind of loved it because he was a plain speaker. I mean, the number of items from this film that actually saw the future is truly insane. But you've taken to, on Good Morning Football, using famous movie soliloquies and speeches to inspire teams. And you did that for the Cleveland Browns this past week.
I did.
Correct? Where you got a trench coat, right? I assume that's not your trench coat that was provided to you, right? You got a rain trench coat?
It's so funny you say that, Rich. The hardest part of that whole thing, it wasn't the execution or the idea, the conceptualizing. It was finding a damn trench coat. I mean, I was asking anybody I could think of, do you have a trench coat? Do you have an old London fog? Eventually, I found one to a friend of a friend, and it was like my white whale. Okay,
and so because you can't do it without the trench coat and looking like you just came in from the pouring rain and lost your mind. And the neat thing is that I think you inspired. I saw people on Twitter, like a little kid, go to a window on behalf of the Cleveland Browns and scream, "I'm mad as hell, and I'm not going to take it anymore," which means you've brought some good to the world.
I tried.
Kyle.
I thought it was really cool. And Rich, I think you would really appreciate the behind the music of how that came together, because it's interesting from a generational standpoint.
Yes.
I was speaking to one of our producers about, or here's what I want to do. I think I want to do the network speech, and I'm going to pick the Browns to beat the Steelers. And this producer, I'd say he's maybe 30, and he says, "What's the network speech?"
Oh, my.
And I go, I'm mad as hell, and I'm not going to take it anymore. And he goes, "I honestly don't know what that is." I send him the link. He watches it.
No.
And his feedback, which I respect, was, "I don't know if you want to go with this. Like, I don't know this. My generation doesn't know. I don't think this will be big online." And I said, "You know what? I don't care. Of course I don't want it to be big online. Of course I want it to be big online. But this is more important than that. This is the message comes first." And he, to his credit, said, "You should probably go with something else." And I'm like, no, I'm not going with anything else. And here's why. Because that was specifically picked for Browns fans who the young Browns fans don't appreciate what that game meant as much as the older ones. These are for Browns fans in their 40s, 50s, and 60s who have gone through this for 25 years with the Browns. They understand Howard Beale. They remember it. They ain't on TikTok, but they know what it's like to be mad as hell. And so it was picked for a very specific reason that a 30-year-old would not understand.
Well, it was brilliant. So I'd like to set up some divisional playoff games for the coming weekend. What do you have any other film soliloquies or speeches that might that you could deliver right here on the Rich Eisen Show that is specific to any of the teams for this coming football weekend? Kyle.
Well, the underdogs jump out, of course.
Okay.
And the Rams have a really tall order, really tall. And, I was looking into this, and Jared Goff versus Aaron Rodgers, two Cal guys, it's probably going to be Goff. There's a nugget there where since 2016, in freezing cold temperatures games, Aaron Rodgers is 10-0 with 25 touchdowns and 1 interception. Jared Goff has thrown 5 interceptions and no touchdowns. He's 1-1. It's a miserable comparison, and that's absolutely perfect for a motivational speech. So you know what I would do?
What do you got?
I would do something I've done before a couple of years back. I would do the Norm Dale from Hoosiers, and I would break out the tape measure, and I would say the goalpost right here, it's the same height as the one we have in SoFi Stadium. The sideline is the same distance from the end zone. It's the same distance, 10 yards. I would get the tape measure out. I did that a few years ago when the Colts went into Arrowhead during the Andrew Luck last run, Frank Reich, and they had such a young team, and the Arrowhead was so imposing, and I did the Norm Dale speech about let's go out and get these guys. It did not work for the Colts, and I don't know if it would work for the Rams, but anytime you listen to the Hoosier speech, it gets the blood going.
And you tell Aaron Donald that you want to know what flavor gum Aaron Rodgers is chewing, right? Find it, right? And you go up to Aaron, and he'll just look at Sean McVay and just say Dentine, something like that. Oh, God, I love that movie.
That's good.
Oh,
I would.
That's it.
The one last year was for the younger audience is The Wolf of Wall Street. Is that I'm Not Leaving, and I would say that's more of like a favorite. That's more of a favorite who everyone says, they're kind of ripe to be knocked off. They're not so hot right now.
Right.
I would probably have to put that one on the Saints because the Drew Brees, I'm not believing, that would be about his retirement.
Right.
The show goes on. The playoffs are my home. That's Drew Brees to the team about the idea that the Bucs are going to come in and Tom Brady is going to end his season and his career. I would say that would be the Wolf of Bourbon Street, we can call it.
Yes, Wolf of Bourbon Street, everybody. I love that. Have you ever used the always be closing speech? Have you done that one yet? From Glengarry Glen Ross? Have you done that one yet?
You see that watch? That watch costs more than your car. I have not done it, Rich. It's
Who would that be good for? The always be closing. Who would that be for? Coffees for closers. Who would that be for right now? Would that be for
Tom Brady? The ultimate closer.
The ultimate closer, right?
Yes.
That he would just he'd look at everybody and show off the watch, right? That the
rings,
right?
Good team, who gives a bleep? Good quarterback, bleep you. Go home and be with your fans. You want to work here? Close. I like it, Rich. I like it. And this
green
the second
juice
place, of course,
is
as we
for
know,
closers.
is a set of steak knives.
Yeah,
Third place is you're out of the playoffs.
I'd like it. And then so who would be the machine, right? I mean, that would be Breeze be the machine. He's past his prime, right? I don't know. But he's not past his prime.
Rich, I got something in the chamber
What do you got?
for Friday.
What do you got?
That I'm going to do on Good Morning Football.
Can you
And
give me an idea?
I'm going to pick an upset, and it's going to get a lot of people upset, as it did last week when I picked Browns over Steelers.
It worked.
And let's just say I probably will be wearing some brown plaid pants, and we might be in the 70s about to go up against the Soviets in ice hockey.
Oh!
Just get ready.
You're gonna bust out
I'm gonna leave
Herb
it all
Brooks.
out there.
You're gonna bust out the Kurt Russell version of Herb Brooks. Is that what you're gonna do?
I might. Let's just say I'm looking through Amazon furiously for brown plaid pants, and they're even harder to find.
Go to the person who gave you the. Yeah, I was about to say, go to the person who gave you the.
Maybe I will.
Go to the Inspector Gadget in your life who coughed up that trench coat. You know.
Yeah. Hey, remember you gave me that trench coat and you gave me the Norm Dale tape measure too. Now I need some Herb Brook plaid pants, and after that, if you could give me some William Wallace blue war paint for my face, that would work.
Hold. Oh man! So you know what? I mean, that's The Miracle is one of the greatest sports movies ever, and the reason why I say that is, I was 11 years old in 1980, so I remember it like the day. I remember it like yesterday. I remember it like yesterday when my brother Jeff was in charge. He's 2 years older than me. He was in charge of all sports blackouts in my household. And what that means was back in the day when anything was tape delayed on television. Yes, kids, things were not shown live. They were held off until prime time because you couldn't put it on whatever. There was no Nickelodeons back in the day that you could slime. You could slime the Soviets, right? So we had to wait to see it. So we went into sports blackout. No traffic and weather together. My parents couldn't listen to the radio, like nothing. So I remember that to this day, and I remember what it meant to beat the Soviets. And in the same way, again, that we all thought that the World Series ended when the ball went through Buckner's legs, there was another game, against the Finns, right? And so there was another game, and that was nerve-wracking too. I clearly, by stating that, know how this movie is going to end, and I'm still biting my fingernails watching Miracle.
Isn't that incredible? It's so good, and
amazing.
The speech is so good. There's a part of it, a particular line that's my favorite part in the Kurt Russell speech, and I think it applies to some of the games this weekend. He's in the middle of it, and make no mistake, he doesn't just say, we got this, we're better. There's a part where he says, if we played him 10 times, we might lose 9, but not this one. not tonight. And I love that because there's a humility there that's saying, listen, I'm not going to lie to you guys. These guys are incredible. And I look at somebody like the Rams and the Packers, and I look at somebody certainly like the Browns and the Chiefs.
Yeah.
The Chiefs and Packers might win 9 out of 10, but all it takes is one. And listen, I'm already getting the goosebumps right now.
Man.
It's the best.
Me too. Me too. It really is, because it is truly a possibility. We cannot sit here and say it is impossible. We cannot sit here and say it is impossible. And I love speeches like that.
It's so good. It's let me pick your brain on something, Rich. I know you have thoughts on this.
Go for it.
I think there's a branding quandary going on with the league, because last week we talked so much about Super Wild Card Weekend, just electric. Next weekend will be Championship Weekend. Mm-hmm. We're in Divisional Round Weekend. It won't do.
Nope.
It's not. It needs something.
It needs an adjective.
It needs some pizzazz.
Yes, it needs an adjective. Correct. You can't just go super. And by the way I always said it, it brought Wile E. Coyote to mind. I always had to say it, Super Wild Card Weekend, pretty much. There it is. There's Wile E. Coyote right there. So Dynamite Division Weekend. Yep. I don't know what other than that, and then conference.
Definitive.
You can't definitive. No. It's no good.
We've taken on Good Morning Football.
Of course you have.
Trying to call it the throwdown round, which is just something we threw together off the top of our heads. But you can't. I mean, listen. NCAA tournament, Sweet 16,
of course.
Elite 8,
right? Exactly.
Final Four. Those are all just gold. You can see the little TM right next to them. Trademark. They're good.
Right.
Divisional. You go to Super Wild Card Weekend, which sounds like a game show, and then you go to Divisional Round. It sounds like a bad geometry class I don't want to be in. So somebody has to figure this out. And if we did Super Wild Card Weekend this year, something divisional next year.
Ultimate Tag? I don't know. The Watts have already done it. It's time.
Ultimate Tag Elite 8. That's it. Oh man, I love the Ultimate
Tag. Division winners trying to tag wild card winners. Here they come. Brought to you by Derek Watt, introduced at the coin flip. I don't know. Man. You're right,
just
though.
Love that I've been coming on this show for months, and the one constant, well, there's two, is talking about and talking about the movie The Running Man. That's all of the two constants. Our bedrock, Rich, is Ultimate Tag and The Running Man.
Again, that your recall of pop culture is unrivaled, sir. But when we first talked about The Running Man, and of all the references to The Running Man that you had at your fingertips, were the names of the three members of the resistance that were supposedly on the beach, but were really held hostage.
Dead in the locker
Whitman,
room.
Price, and Haddad. You remember them? Basking in the Maui sun. And Rich, I remember them because my first ever fantasy team was called Whitman, Price, and Haddad. And we were terrible because we drafted Dominic Davis in the first round. It never worked out.
Dominic
Davis was supposed to be on the beach.
I know.
He was supposed to be on the beach, but instead he was held hostage.
I'll be back.
Only in a rerun. And I guess again, one of the greatest pieces of casting was turning Richard Dawson evil. Was just really spectacular casting on that.
I mean,
one.
he was evil.
Yeah.
Conchita Alonso was the naive, couldn't believe Whitman, Price, and Haddad were there.
Yes.
And then Jim Brown is going to go just light her on fire with a bullet. Really cool.
All right, before I let you go, we started this hour with me talking about how I played a mean game of Battleship with my 9-year-old Coop yesterday. How old are your children, Kyle?
I've got 7 and 4.5.
Okay, so you're not yet there where I currently am.
Heads up,
but ask
guess who we play that.
Okay, guess Chris Brockman. Ask Kyle Brandt our poll question at Rich Eisen Show. Go for it.
Now, Kyle, would you let your kid win at board games?
Yes or no?
Listen, it's an emphatic yes. I just played Guess Who, where you say, well, do they have a mustache? Do they have a monocle? I'm making up all sorts of nonsense to try to just throw the game. Never. This was my equivalent of benching Jalen Hurts, Rich. There was no integrity to my Guess Who game. I'm guessing, well, are they wearing a crown? Are they riding a horse? I was just dragging my feet till he finally got his act together and won. So it's an emphatic yes. I Sudfelded the game.
They Sudfelded. Well done. But flip the script. Ask him the question that you thought, that you asked me. Would you cheat
Yeah, so Kyle, if
You're a
you're
child.
like losing
Would
at
you
Battleship,
cheat?
right?
He asked me, would I move the ship on my son?
Yeah, would you move the little 2 guy around just to, kind of prolong the game?
Would you do that, Kyle?
So you're telling me, you're saying, well, listen, it ain't looking so pretty on the high seas here. I got a couple of pegs in my destroyer on A9 through A12. Maybe I just slide it down to B12.
Yeah.
I think I would do that with my wife, but not my son.
Okay, well done. Kyle Brandt. Father of the year, but not husband of the year.
No,
Okay,
definitely not.
Kyle, thanks for the call, man.
You're the best, Rich. Thanks, guys.
Right back at you. Check out his podcast, 10 Questions with Kyle Brandt, Ringer and Spotify. God. Fantastic. I just love. Hey, you watched all the way to the end. Thanks for that. Watch more right here.